top 4, tick. Top 2, tick. Home semi-final, tick. Challenge now all about maintaining these exceptional levels into the playoffs. And every single player has been told this week that they're all still playing for their places in the playoffs. Nothing's guaranteed. Even the likes of Henry Slade know that they have to maintain the levels that they've been maintaining all season.
Yeah, Rob Baxter brutally honest in his pre-match assessment about why they lost off the back of that wonderful performance at Leicester, and then being gunned down by Wasps. They want to get back to winning ways, and I'm sure he would have spoken to each and every one of his players individually about the running.
Craig Maxwell-Key's in charge, Adam Leal and Philip Waters with the flags that will flutter around in the breeze. It's always blustery here, but it's the blusteriest old days in Devon, and it's a swirling breeze, so it doesn't really favour anybody, as the Chiefs in black via Joe Simmons with the first kick, and the first take taken confidently by Stan South. It'll be a job for the kickers and a job for the catchers as well, Lol, because it will swirl around over your head on a day like today.
Yeah, you've got to be right on the money with your lifting, very, very precise. Got to follow that fly to the ball, and interesting looking at the statistics. Quins have come out the blocks quite quick in the games. First 20 minutes, they tend to get points on the board, and I'm sure Exeter would have paid particular attention to that.
Off the left boot of Sam Hidalgo-Klein, getting used to seeing him playing at scrum half at the moment for Quins. No Danny Kerr, of course, we've referenced that, but Nick White still there for the Chiefs, and the first run for Ewers. Tackled by Alofa in midfield in the absence of Joe Marchant today. Carl Sinclair there with the big initial hit. This is Simmons, laid back for O'Flaherty. Noel, one of those big names missing today, but opportunity for O'Flaherty again to just underline his progress this season, his contribution.
Yeah, good work for
Simmons. Oh, and then Ewers goes through an enormous hole, and Devoto's looking to catch up, and Devoto will ensure that there are no early slip-ups here today. Not against Quins. Chiefs back to the old Chiefs right from the off.
Well, what a start from Exeter Chiefs. All too easy for them to cut Harlequins apart. They got into that wide channel. They got an edge. Made far too many metres easily on that outside channel, and once they got in behind, lovely line from Ewers. Look at this. One pass, beautifully hit, just splits the two defenders. That's too big a hole for him to go through, and then it's a simple case of easy hands to Devoto, and he runs in an easy try. But it's that lovely little line that Dave Ewers has picked, and got the presence of mind to straighten his run, do the simple things, pick off his man and feed Ollie Devoto for the easiest of tries. Wonderful start from Exeter Chiefs.
Yeah, well, you're talking about early starts and Harlequins getting points on the board early. Well, that's exactly what they wouldn't have wanted. It's a lovely break from Ewers. Slows his feet down and does so well to be able to combine with Ollie Devoto. A brilliant start. Certainly no hangover from that Wasps game a couple of weeks ago.
Such is the breeze that Henry Slade is having to offer his little digit there to control the ball, which Joe Simmons slides between the posts. A couple of minutes gone, 7-0 Chiefs.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? It's a mismatch you're looking for, and as a back row forward, you want to pick off the front row, and that's exactly what they do on this occasion. Dave Ewers just picks a wonderful line between the two front row forwards, and Ollie Devoto has the presence of mind to get on his shoulder.
Here is Slade charging up towards the 22, but Marler was there to arrest his progress.
Yeah, they're onside, they've made the tackle.
Ollie Devoto, by the way, a try against Harlequins in southwest London in the first half of the season. Match that Harlequins won in November. Became the first side this season to beat Chiefs domestically. An early blow for the home side here, and they win back possession again via Lonsdale, and Kvesic spins it to Slade, who picks out Nick White. And now here's Dolman. Santiago Cordero nursing a knee injury today. He's been hugely impactful this season. Slade, and now Devoto again.
So the Exeter are really in the mood, aren't they? You could just see there's a fizz about them when they're passing. just look very, very excited. Everyone just putting that little bit of pace onto the ball. There's a real zip about, real energy about them, going about their work today.
Devoto has been busy early on.
Watch them, please. The clear-out's fine. No advantage.
Walloped up by
Now tackle,
Alec Hepburn.
Seven.
Contribution this
Yeah, it's
season,
fine, it's
earning
fine.
him a new contract. Simmons, and this is Dave Dennis blasting his way through the middle. White again to Lonsdale. Don Armand feeling his sore hip today, that's why he's down on the touchline with us, and a little bouncing ball, eager to evade the grasp of Devoto, but the try scorer just about holds on to it.
Yeah, this is what Quins are going to have to do, absorb the pressure. We're already into the 11th phase. Exeter just very comfortable, holding on to the ball. As we said before, they're the team that keep possession the longest in the Premiership. Very, very happy.
Yeah,
Looks like they're going to go
please,
to the kick now, though.
Make sure.
11 phases later.
Long ruck, providing some insurance for White, and now the pressure comes on as Brown gets it back to Rob Buchanan. First Premiership start for 19 months. How brilliant to see Rob Buchanan back in a Quinn shirt, back on a Premiership pitch. He was charging around like a good one in Claremont last weekend. Now he's back to the bread and butter of domestic business.
That's dead now.
Gombrand
Give it up, lads.
wanders across.
Thank you, lads.
He will jog after this kick. A lot of room for Simmons to then pick out Dolman. Clipped over the top to Slade, and Woodburn drifting around to offer some support. On halfway, White has it. Another Wallaby, Dave Dennis pockets it. Tackled by Marler. Simmons. Devoto again, and now Ewers really spreading the pitch, making the absolute most of every single centimetre.
Well, certainly, and once again, Dave Ewers, a back row player in that 5 metre channel. But fair play to Matt Simmons. He does well to be able to thwart that attack and get hold of the ball. Unfortunately for Harlequins, they're not able to attack in any real area of meaning, so they have to make sure that they get their exit really well here.
Knock-on advantage over.
Smith got behind that boot. Simmons, Gareth Steenson fit again. He's back on the bench today.
Thank you.
Fired back towards Smith.
Let them run.
A bit of room for O'Flaherty to run into here. Not an awful lot of pressure on him, but into that Quins defensive line. There's Harry Williams. Up to halfway. White again. It's been a breathless start by the Chiefs. Dolman and now Woodburn, and back to Slade, back to Woodburn, and beautifully picking out Dolman. Oh my goodness, they're playing some notes already early on. Johnny Hill took the hit, still retained possession. Simmons again, and this is Hepburn.
Just the power of their ball carrying. They're getting over the gainer on every single opportunity, either stepping or beating defenders at will.
Slade. Inside line that he hoped would take him beyond Francis Saili, but All Black securing the tackle. Hepburn. Nicely done, takes the hit, gets the ball away. Devoto. Dolman once more. Woodburn. He had Dennis as the widest option to his left. Dennis was then part of the clear-out crew. Here's Ewers and picks out Yendall. Just look at the crispness of the passing. You expect it from the backs, but the quality of the passing from the forwards as well.
Yeah, real quality. If you like your rugby easy on the eye, this is the place to be. Really, really good stuff from Exeter. Just patience, going through the hands, really crisp.
This is Kvesic, trying what was ultimately a losing cause in November at the Stoop. Simmons, he very nearly got through, and that was Simmons who got down to stop him. Simmons on Simmons. White, and now Hill. And just look where the Chiefs have ferried the ball, deep now into the Quins' red zone. Devoto again, and White just pops it up, and they'll drill once more down the middle, again with
No,
Lonsdale.
off your feet.
Well, this is where they're at the most dangerous, when they enter the 22. So efficient normally at converting these opportunities.
And Simmons, and now over the top to Woodburn, offering that threat on the right-hand side. Kvesic.
He's tucked into ground, this is play on.
21st phase. Unbelievable.
No, you've cleared him there, you've cleared him there. That's not a penalty when Exeter have cleared him the wrong side.
Slade whipped away, silver service. Not quite so silver service, but they still might find some gold from it. This is O'Flaherty trying to weave his way through. Now the ball needs to be won back, and it is with Ewers.
You're off your feet,
5 metres short. The patience and the effort that has gone into this, and they're that close. Harry Williams the closest of them all. One more decent surge. Penalties coming. Yendel wasn't far away, and Kvesic.
Yeah, we're under advantage here.
White waits, Simmons a little further out, but it'll still be the forwards with the little scrum half behind him, and Nick White scores. Mechanical, beautiful, unstoppable. The Chiefs at their best.
Well, that's got to be right up there with try of the season, that for me. And I'll tell you why, because it went 27 phases. It went from basically their own 22, or certainly their own 10-metre line. And it just had pretty much everything you'd want in a team of wonderful players. Just crisp handling, powerful running, but no shortage of recycling as well. 27 phases later, battered, absolutely battering the walls down.
Well, they've pushed and pulled Harlequins, whether it be going through the tight, going out wide, but it's their ability to be able to look after the ball, and then it comes down to the key decision makers to spot the space, and that time it was Nick White. As you'd expect every decent number 9 to do, just being aware of his surroundings, of where the try line is. As you said, Lawrence, that amount of phases, 60 metres up the pitch, another try.
It's just unbelievable. 10 minutes into the game, 52 carries from Exeter Chiefs.
I think the breeze might have got hold of that. About the only thing that's gone awry for Exeter so far today. If there was a Terminator 15, if the Terminators did ever decide to play rugby, it would look a little bit like this. I mean, I've no idea how short of Arnie you stop that kind of rugby.
Well, it's almost like they're in training mode, you know. They've just turned a switch on, and it's literally hold on to the ball for as long as you can until you get over that try line. That is literally try of the season for me.
Here they go again with Slade.
Tackler, please.
What Quins can do here is pressurise Chiefs as hard defensively as they can.
Yes, please.
Inside Exeter's 22. How hard can they make this extraction process? That's been caught up in the wind, and now that's a positive result for Quins. This gives them the foundation.
Yeah, the same way Exeter have been ruthless when they've had ball in hand. 2 visits into the 22 and 2 tries. Well, Harlequins find themselves at their first entry off the back of Nick White's mistake. They've got to maximise this opportunity now. Can't be too critical when you see the win like that. It's going to be really hard for 9 to 10 to be able to control this game, control territory.
There's the try scorer. Some interesting stories circulating around the Wallaby scrum half Nick White at the moment. Last of his 22 caps against the All Blacks 4 years ago, but we hear that Michael Checker very much wants him part of Australia's World Cup squad, which means that he has something to think about. 2 years into a 3-year contract here, and so do Exeter.
Well, you can understand why, because he's been one of the form players of the season. You know, when he's on his game, Exeter are a very, very difficult side to beat. He's got wonderful service. He offers a threat himself as well, and it's just his all-round organisational skills.
If you're a scrum half anywhere in the world and you want to get picked for your international team, come to Gallagher Premiership. Cobus Reinach, Faf de Klerk, Nick White, they've all done it. All quality players resurrected their careers, all started their international careers.
Sorry, it's 6, yeah, sorry.
the moment, as if we will see White in the World Cup.
It's in the five, so this is
And
over.
then perhaps back here at Sandy Park after the World Cup, although that's not guaranteed either at the moment.
It wouldn't be a bad duo, would it? Genia and
This
White.
is once nine.
Take anyone on those
That's
two.
break.
Rob Buchanan engaging himself.
Advantage penalty.
Chris Robshaw having a little dig, and it wasn't coming out.
Not continuously bound, swimming around
It's
the side.
interesting now. Just
So
wonder
entry,
whether,
number
given
2.
the scoreline already with
Back,
Exeter on
not
12,
detached, then back in.
I'll be popping this
Swam
into the
round the
corner.
side.
There's no point going for goal. They need more than 3 points, Quins. It's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, fully bound. Yeah, you're good there, yeah?
Throw for Rob Buchanan. It
Just continuously
didn't
bound,
start
yeah.
swimmingly at the Marcel Michelin last weekend, and this will be a test, given the breeze we've been
Let's be in,
talking about.
please.
First Premiership start for 19 months and all that.
Yeah, really important that Quins take advantage here. Don't get many opportunities in this 22 against Exeter. Got to take their chance.
Well, they kept it simple, kept the flight of the ball as short as possible to the front to pick out Jack Clifford.
9 once.
Diego Klein popping it up. Here he is again, and here's Sinclair. Little sway of the hips. Diego Klein comes back the other way to Buchanan. He'll be loving this, just relishing being involved in rugby again. The sound of it all, the smell of it all. Alofa, Smith, and nicely done by Saili to pick out scampering Chisholm.
8 release.
Quins putting down a few tenths of their own for the first time in this contest.
Good.
Hidalgo Klein, Simmons, bit of a juggle, holds on to it, takes on Ewers. Charlie Walker trying to spread this pitch as wide as he can. He was Brown's option. Instead, it's Smith, and now Robshaw, the captain. He's on a curved run of his own.
See the patience from Exeter's defence at the moment, just really targeting what breakdowns to go for this. The line out that started 5 metres out. Harlequins now out of the 22 and looking to put a bit of shape and a bit of extra width onto the ball, and the composure which Exeter showed in the opening 15 minutes of the game and their ability to look after the ball wasn't quite there for Harlequins. You spoke about it, Lawrence. Get into the 22, you've got to make sure that pressure really converts into some points.
Yeah, just think the difference in the two teams' ball carrying ability. You know, Exeter really direct, hard, crisp lines that they're hitting, getting over the advantage line. Everyone's recycling the ball. Quins not quite sure whether they're going sideways or forward at the moment. They just need to be a little bit more direct for me.
It's Matt Simmons, who is down injured at the moment. What about this Rob Buchanan story? Hugo, you know him very well, recovered from a neck injury that at one point I think he was told he would not recover from. That was his playing career over.
Yeah, he's had a couple of neck surgeries and he's been to some pretty dark times. The guys that really had to rally around him, I think he's been pretty open in it, you know. I think he fell into a pit of depression, was trying to figure out what he wanted to do, and Lawrence, you'll know just as well, the one thing you want to do as a professional player is be part of the team, be part and add in on a Saturday more than anything, and he's had that taken away from him. Great to see him back last week, fantastic to see him back, healthy and fit and doing what he does best today as well.
There's Matt Kvesic.
Still in, slow space.
Kvesic would have seen certainly how influential Tom Curry was on that dirge of a game last night up at the AJ Bell. One of the few highlights was the work of Curry at the breakdown. Kvesic and Curry certainly leading the way in that area in the Premiership so far this season. There's a contest that may well be shaped by Kvesic today.
No, just make sure.
Again, the caterpillar to provide the distance, and this is Mike Brown.
That's well
Clifford. Ooh, Chisholm.
Good
Sure he
timing.
intended that. Off the floor by South. And now Walker in midfield. Little hop, skip, jump, stop, and picks out Saili. Real quality. And then he finds Walker again. He's had precious little opportunity this season. Just a hint of the high about that from Ollie Woodburn, but nothing serious. On we go. Smith and Chisholm and South again, and once more. Exeter's defence trying to tighten the knot.
Quinn's trying to just pick their pocket a little bit, find that little space in behind.
No, 3! Just hold here. Yeah, you can go.
What's the bounce like from Smith? He doesn't quite find touch, but it still means that there's a difficult angle kick for Joe Simmons to have to negotiate.
The 210s did brilliantly well there. Marcus Smith just recognising that they're not getting the momentum that they wanted, and he's just pinning Exeter back into their halves with a response from Joe Simmons to get that ball back and send it back 30 metres out of the pitch. This is it here, just stepping up, taking control and just rolling the ball. He does really well actually to make sure that ball stays in the field of play, and with the wind against his back, Joe Simmons smashes that 35 metres on the pitch. Really good play from both ends.
There's a podder contesting, it's not straight. Lads, are we here? Jack, line or scrub? Scrub.
Scrum offering something much more secure than line-out ball does at the moment.
Well, you hit on it on that first line-out, Nick. And,
you go.
You know, you've got to take advantage of that.
Scrum,
just handing
it'll
ball
be
straight
slow
back to Exeter.
balance.
They just look so comfortable on the ball, don't they? I'm just looking at the carries. Every single player in the team has already had significant carries. It's you know, almost total rugby.
Crouch.
Dave Ewers and Matt Kvesic top the list. They've had 8 each. Slade 5, Dolman 5, Lonsdale 7. However,
and then gone to ground on his knees.
A little bit of tackling now.
Too long, you then slipped and gone to ground.
Feel.
So tight edge too long, he
Marcus
slipped and
Smith
gone to
just
ground.
having a look
Can't support
at the
his weight.
breeze, but pretty sure he's going to kick this in the corner.
I think a lot of decision making is going to be taken out of his hands. I mean, the kicking conditions are extremely difficult for both sets of tens. And you think normally when the wind's not quite as big a factor, you try and chip away at the lead, but they're forced to kick to the corner, 12 points down, and Harlequins have got to make sure that this position counts for them.
Set up
we'll have a chat with Rob Baxter in a moment or two, but I'm sure he, like us, will want to see how Chiefs deal with this line-out threat. Buchanan tried to win it back in the air. Lonsdale off his feet aggressively, but Quins have it. Simmons was at the centre of things, and the drive comes on. Hidalgo Klein has it. Sinclair to his knees before the hit could really come in from Lonsdale. Hidalgo Klein. No way through for Buchanan. That was serious defensive work from Harry Williams.
Thank you, 5. Easy.
Marler's waiting for it. He doesn't hold on to it long. Smith, a little pump of the ball to Chisholm, and now Saili, and then the little chip through to Dombrandt. Oh! It was always going to take a little bit of magic to score, but I'm not sure that there wasn't a stray boot either. The touch judge's flag on the far side is
Flags up, it's a really positive call.
And we don't even need the TMO.
Yeah, let's just admire that wonderful piece of skill there. What an offload.
I'll tell you what an offload, and what a decision as well. That is really tight. It's just a toe. That's what happens when you wear red boots on a white line.
5.
Makes it easy to spot, but the work from Saili to get the ball away.
Snatched at the front by Lonsdale.
Falls out,
Suggestion that was pulled down, but Craig Maxwell-Keys deciding it was an immediate sack.
Clearly lost control of the ball out the back.
So on we go. Picked up by Yendall to try and make this extrication process a little bit more comfortable. Absolutely no rush, very comfortable with the ball. Now maybe this will be the moment for White.
Please, 9. Still in.
White sends the ball on its way up to halfway. Gathered by Chisholm. This is Brown. Long passage of play.
You pushed them across.
Once more Chisholm. Now Robshaw. Sent on to by Dave Ewers. Broad-shouldered soldier again this season. Marler. And then a penalty. Let's have a chat with Rob Baxter, otherwise I'll have to put up with listening to us for the rest of the match. We'll come to Rob in a moment. Hold on. Sorry, Rob. Now we can talk to Rob. Rob, we heard you talking to Jill before the match, talking about wanting your players to look like they care. They certainly do early on here.
Yeah, we've obviously had a very good start, and then we've had kind of, 10 minutes where it's a bit like us watching Harlequins play, isn't it? And I think we've just got to pin a couple of things together that just create a bit more continuity for us. We've just allowed ourselves to get a little bit scrappy. I don't think we've not really poured the energy into defence I'd have liked to have seen us there. We've kind of watched Harlequins play in front of us, and we've defended okay, but without really going and creating line speed pressure, because it is relatively difficult to get through multi-phases out there, especially to try and play with any width. So I'd just like to see us cranking it up when we haven't got the ball, probably to the same levels that we're doing when we have got it.
We were talking before the match with Don, Rob, about how comfortable even your forwards are in those wide channels, in the 5-metre channels, and you're stretching the pitch to its full width again today.
Yeah, well, we're finding good space, and I think that's the key thing in attack. We are finding areas of space, and we are carrying pretty well and creating some hot balls. So, like I say, I'm pleased with our efforts in attack. I'd like, but to have a complete game and to create multi-pressure, you've got to do it attack and defence, and that's where we're letting ourselves down a little bit, as we're not creating the same pressure with our defence as we could do. All
right, brilliant. Thanks for your patience, Rob. Thanks for holding on.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's that transition that he's looking for. They can't put a foot wrong in attack. They've been wonderful, 27 phases, carrying purposely, but it's the transition. When you lose the ball, you get turned over. That's what he wants to see.
Mark will be here.
Double bill this Saturday afternoon here on BT Sport, and once we've concluded business here, we're off up to the Rico for Wasps against Sarries in the Gallagher Premiership. 5 of the weekend's 6 games will have been done and dusted by this evening. We'll have highlights of them all. BT Sport 3 HD from 9 o'clock, and then the 6th game tomorrow at Sixways. Potential big one for Worcester, perhaps the biggest of the season. If they can pick up a win against Gloucester, then they will be safe. Worcester-Gloucester tomorrow, and then Wednesday's rugby tonight. We've got Ben Youngs in the studio in Stratford. We're on air at 8 o'clock.
Just off the halfway line.
Hughes, defensively, it wouldn't have been so long ago when you were preparing to play in a match like this. How would they have defended this week, Quins, at the Surrey Sports Centre in Guildford, knowing that Chiefs would put this much width on their attack?
There's 2 things you've got to do. You've got to suffocate and take away their time and thinking space on the ball, so you have to get up in their face and put their skills under pressure. But that can only work in conjunction with trying to be able to manipulate the speed of the ruck. And when these big ball carriers have been able to puncture and get beyond the gain line, they're able to get really quick speed of ruck, and that's why they're allowed to go 27 phases, march up the pitch 60 metres. So it's a massive job, but it has to work together.
Yes, Exeter!
We're about to face another defensive set here as Devoto releases Slade, but Slade quickly involving White.
Knock on, fellows.
That time Saili was up quickly, the kind of pressure you're talking about, Utes.
Exactly that. We saw the stats earlier today. They scored the most tries after 7 phases. So if you can stop them at source, look what Saili done there. That's a brilliant way to be able to...
Would have been a holding on penalty, but we've got a knock on over here.
Preserve your energy, get the ball back, and then to Lawrence's word, that transition, they've got to be able to back up a really good defensive set with a fairly tidy attacking set now.
And actually, Lol, the longer it goes on into those phase plays, the more you start to tread on your own lungs defensively, and you're just holding on to a degree.
Yeah, you are, and but you've got to be patient with Exeter. They recycle the ball so well. You've got to be very clear which breakdowns you're going to have a go at, which ones you're not, and you've got to be prepared to go through phase after phase where you're making tackles.
Apologies for the language, but you will understand this is a contest that means something to both sides. Side who are already guaranteed to extend their season beyond the regular deadline, and another one tacking down in predominantly green today, very anxious to extend their season into the playoffs. And Quins have a penalty.
Yeah, we talked about that front row battle.
Step to the left and driven around the corner.
Had that many opportunities to see it develop, but Quins winning the penalty on that occasion. Scrum wheels round. They get the benefit of the doubt from the referee.
towards the terracing, and they will have that attacking line out inside the 22. Paul Gustard took a measure of satisfaction from the effort in Clermont last week. Emily's pointing out this week that they didn't win, and that's how really they have to measure themselves. If they're going to do anything in this league, they have to measure themselves by the highest standard, James. Of
course. You look at Paul Gustard and the environments that he's worked with, whether it's Saracens or England, it's all about winning, you know. I mean, you want to have performances, and you certainly focus on those processes, but ultimately you're going to be judged on whether you win or not. And this Harlequins team at the moment are desperately got to seek for that victory to make sure they can secure their first top 4 berth in what's been a number of years now.
5 years. It's actually that long since Chiefs lost back-to-back matches in the Premiership here, lol. That long ago that the bloke standing next to you was still running around and scoring tries. Actually scored here as well.
Middle.
What we're saying is the last time he was playing, they won. Is that what we're saying?
Basically.
Detach to the left and gone round. Need you to stay square. Time on,
it's interesting, isn't it, for Harlequins, because you're right, they haven't been here for 5 years, and it almost feels a bit. It probably feels a bit strange for them to be in this situation at this stage of the season.
Certainly have it within touching distance right now. Hidalgo Klein, and wow, for an offer, and that's neatly done. Taking out south, got the ball away. What about Brown? Here's South. Dave Dennis trying to rip it away, but there was nothing doing. Clifford.
He's not on the ball, he's on the body.
Saili. Again, you can time the rucks, though it's taking an effort to win it back. In fact, it's been stolen by Chiefs.
Stripped by Green.
The challenge of getting quick ruck ball, but Quins will have another go.
It was interesting, just the comments of Rob Baxter. I think we've come to just know that they are such a ruthless attacking team, but he wants to measure his team by their attitude in defence. And I'll tell you what, ever since you spoke to him, those messages must have transpired onto the pitch, because their physicality's certainly gone up a notch. Not just in what they're doing in the contact, but the work at the breakdown. This is a really key defensive set now for Exeter Chiefs.
Yeah, good.
Picked up by Rob Shaw.
That's just a dynamic.
Played back for Hidalgo Klein. Clifford again.
Got to be patient, Harlequins. Just got to make sure they resource the breakdown effectively, clear those Exeter bodies off. They're just allowing Exeter to lie over the ball a little bit too long for my liking.
Looks like it might be Buchanan next up to fire a wedge through the door. Oh, and then it's clipped out to Brown, and Brown some neat sidestepping, and he's up to the line. That close to scoring. Marler shoving bodies out of the way, trying to clear a space. Oh, and then it was intercepted by Simmons. And having dug so hard to get that close, it's disappeared for Quins.
Yeah, a bit of white line fever, a little bit of composure, and actually trying to force the place. You've got to understand, when you're 2 metres away from the opposition try line, all they're going to do is get off the line, and that's exactly what Simmons did right there. Read the play incredibly well, and not only have they been marched back 60 metres, but this will be a massive emotional wound to this Harlequins team, who have gone to the line on a few occasions now, and every time Exeter Chiefs have found the answer and marched them back. Another big and important defensive set.
Well, I think that gives you an indication of how strong that breeze is. Wonderful kick from White. Cleared it to the halfway line, and that just give the team a huge lift to put that set together on your own line, and then get up from the breakdown and see your scrum half boot the ball into the opposition half.
Hold the line.
There's a sense of the Chiefs' efficiency as Buchanan picks out Clifford. Smith! And it slips through his fingers, and that's a knock-on.
It's really important what Harlequins do now in terms of the conversations. Exeter Chiefs, everything that they're doing is feeding positive energy. The last couple of times where Harlequins have had the ball, they turn the ball over, they get marched back, they then get a line out, clean ball at the line out, and then it's a knock on. So compounding one error with an error, they're back into their half. And Exeter Chiefs going fairly well, looking pretty comfortable, both sides of the ball, find themselves in a position where they're often very comfortable.
Let's have a look close-up of this lovely little battle between Kyle Sinclair on the Quins' tight head and Alec Hepburn pushing hard to be in that England picture again on the loose head side.
I think we're all slightly ahead of me, lads. We're all pre-engaged, yeah? Slow it down, wait for the call.
A front row, incidentally, who all played a part in Quins' last playoff season 5 years ago. Sinclair and Marler were starters in the semi-final. Rob Buchanan was on the bench. On the other side, that the battle of the haircuts. Harry Williams against Joe Marler.
Who's winning that one, Nick?
Boy!
People can really talk about haircuts, well, to be honest. Minimal is our approach. Simmons. And now Devoto, who's been busy, lively on his toes in midfield. Kvesic was charging towards it, but the ball was slapped away before it could get there. Dolman looking for some space.
Just have a look at Exeter's play. They use this sequence all the time. It goes to a punch play and then into the space. Really good options. It's a really good option. The execution is pretty poor, and Harlequins have the ball, and Dombrandt has just shouted, "Have it," and just booted the ball off the pitch. Not a lot of quality in this last 30 seconds.
Time off, please. Down.
It's interesting to see Alex Dombrandt involved just then. I think we all really started to sit up and take notice of Dombrandt when he was man of the match against Exeter in November. Was that the uni-rig evening when Paul Custard said he's doing all right for a bloke who still looks like he's a student?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he was a try-scoring machine, wasn't he, for a while? He just got that kind of try-scoring fever. And you know, I always said if you play in the back row and you're one of the top carriers in the game, one of the top tacklers, you know, you're going to be in the conversation at the end. And not only was he that, he was actually scoring as well. And he's put in some real quality performances. He's certainly been a standout player for Harlequins this season for me.
We're saying that a current chief, Tom Lauday, will be a Quinn next season. He'll add to the number 8 options.
It's a good square picture, that's just saying again.
Yeah, and apologies for the language.
Interested actually as a back row forward for Quins today, because when you've got real quality in your front 5, and they have, you know, with the likes of Sinclair and Marlow, you know, I'll be winding them up as much as I could, because you know, you want a platform to play. You know, Jack Clifford's in there at the number 8 slot there, and you've got 2 international props. Give me a right-hand shoulder here, please.
'100th Premiership game, by the way, for Carl Sinclair today. Notable landmark for him.
Crouch.
What's Jack Clifford? I fancy my chances against debuts here on the flank. Just if Carl can give him a little right-hand shoulder. Going to get a free kick. Might have another scrum, actually.
We're all chasing our feet. We're
Joe
scrummaging
Marler gets
before
his
the ball
way.
comes in. Scrum again.
Yeah.
Lads, we'll scrum again.
Keep that cool slow, Craig. Keep it slow.
A little bit of insecurity in Harlequins' mind, because if you look at the number of penalties teams have conceded on their own feeds this season, nobody's winning more than Exeter, but Quins are coughing up more penalties than they would be comfortable with in this situation. So looking to win penalties, but also looking to hold on onto possession ultimately.
Yeah, and this is the kind of area of the field where you clearly don't want to be giving anything away, so maybe it's a in-and-out job. Jack Clifford, just get that right-hand shoulder up. It's going to go down again. They're the ones that benefit from the penalty, and this will be significant.
There's too much movement for people's
Marcus
feet.
Smith a chance
They're
to
scrimmaging way too early.
peg Exeter back.
Second time.
Joe Marler winning that one.
A bit of over-eagerness on the part of Harry Williams and his mates.
He seemed in boisterous mood on his pitch walk, Joe Marler, wouldn't he, Hugo? He was definitely excited, wasn't he?
Did you know he was on the telly? Did you tell him?
I mean, you were probing him a little bit about the England question, weren't you?
He's your front man, yeah?
Were you doing Eddie Jones a favour there?
Well, he didn't give me an answer.
He's in, no, he's in.
Which is probably more telling than anything.
Quinn's line out with Buchanan. A lot of movement at the back, and Dombrat peeled round, but it had been read by Yendall. And here goes Woodburn. That's an ambitious throw on a day like today.
It was an ambitious throw, but it was a really good read from Jack Yendall, wasn't it? Wasn't having any of it.
3 out, please. Good.
What's been really impressive today of Exeter is actually just
Okay,
their
let's use
composure
that,
in
please.
terms of just exiting on a day like today when the wind is absolutely awful. Their ability to sit on the ball, send the ball back, and then get a pretty decent, what I was going to say, pretty decent line chase.
How well is Mike Brown playing at the moment?
He really is, and you know, he's got that offloading game now going, which is really exciting.
Saili to Alofa. Quins are looking most likely down that left-hand side at the moment. Saili very often the fulcrum. Smith, meantime, Brown again. Needs a double grip to finally hold on to the ball. Chisholm got the ball away quickly to Walker,
I think he just kicked it,
who
mate.
then kicked it away.
That's a kick and
That's been the story, hasn't it? Plenty of endeavour, plenty of intent, but not good enough execution. And then Exeter back into that transition mode of just wanting to put air on the ball, get back into their shape, get out of this area, and ask the question of Harlequins. Come at us once again.
Simmons, that was forward.
Yeah,
That's sloppy.
long way forward, and this gives Harlequins a really nice opportunity as clock ticks down to the end of this first half. Really good opportunity, and you feel they spent enough time in this 22, they've got to start coming away with points.
The opening 10 minutes was a very good game, wasn't it? High quality from
time off,
Exeter
we've got a second
Chiefs,
row as
and
well
then
down
not
here.
a lot has happened.
Time off.
Plenty of endeavour. It's really kind of petered out, but we're 3 minutes to go now. You expect someone to really just take a grip of this game.
Well, you just feel that Quins just need that patience, don't they? That control, that composure that you talked about, Hugo, that Exeter are displaying when they transition.
TMO was looking in the
You know,
background,
they
we didn't
spent
see anything.
enough time down in this end of the field, and they've just got to
They
convert.
rescued it quite well.
There's Joe. First Premiership game for a while, actually. Taken time to recover from a bang to the head.
Oh, sorry, I just put the water back.
Santiago Garcia Botta at the Pumas loose head. Simon Kerrod was tight head on the way next season. A lot of changes personnel-wise.
detail we
Get a
have
real
to do.
sense that Paul Gustard's starting
He did,
to bring in the warriors that
Oh,
he
yeah, sorry,
wants.
so I didn't see him. Cheers, Chris. Thank you.
We also
Mark's
have
inside, yeah?
Scott Baldwin from the Ospreys, who's a very
Time on.
high-end addition to that front row.
He'll certainly bring plenty of quality.
Still after that balance, lads, please. Balance.
Right, so the challenge for Chiefs here, and Hepburn and Yendall and Williams and Dennis and Hill providing the thrust behind, is to take the time here, not go too soon. It is a defensive Chiefs scrum.
Boyd! Set!
Quins got themselves.
That's the one that's moved the most. I need
short
you to
there.
meet them over the mark. I've already got them for chasing their feet, but you need to meet them over the mark. They'll meet you. You keep your feet underneath you.
There we go, referee just wanting to make sure it's square and stable.
Just having a look at this setup here, you've got Mike Brown and Charlie Walker on this right side of the scrum, and if you then look at the position of Phil Dolman, who stood right underneath the post, if they're able to fashion themselves a little tight header, right-hand side up, expect to see Mike Brown have a go one-on-one with Henry Slade, potentially putting the ball in behind there. Plenty of space.
Wrestling match up front continues. It's still a mess. It's another Quinn scrum.
Yeah, just went down really early. Bit too much movement there for the referee to really come up with a decision either way.
Lads, we've got 1 minute till half time. Lads,
Pretty sure he'll
we've got 1
penalise
minute
the
till half
next.
time. We've been at this scrum way too long. Stability, like
Indiscretion.
all the other scrums, please.
It's a fourth reset now for Harlequins, and Exeter just seem to be beating them across the gap, if you ask me. Referee needs to just make sure that they're a bit more square and stable.
Crowd.
Brisk start to this Gallagher Premiership contest.
Boys.
Chiefs with 2 tries in the opening 10 minutes. 12-0, but nothing since, and we're on the cusp of half-time now.
Oh, that's a nice scrum from Quins.
Yes. Penalty picked up by Yendall. That will
Loose
come.
heads ended up walking around.
Sorry, I got myself a little bit excited
Two drops
there.
forward, loose heads
Really
detached
enjoyed
round
that.
the corner.
Really enjoyed that from Joe Marler and the boys. That is a thing of beauty. Let's have another look at this. Just really get themselves in a strong position, stay square, and just drive straight through it.
Yeah, that's your mark. You
Tell
use
you
the whole
what,
time,
the
it's
scrum
half-time.
coach will be purring on that.
Yeah, so
It's
there's
really nice.
Free kick escalation to penalty, and then the other.
That's one
free
for
kick
Adam
to penalty
Jones.
have been player specific, so I agree. Yeah. Oh, that's only for Mike. The rest is mine.
So he'll have a spring in his step walking down the tunnel. He's got inside 3 points through the scrum.
Got to get this between the posts first. He's bang in front of them, but kicking into that precocious breeze that's doing its worst at the moment. But to bank points before the break for Quins. Yeah, they'll take that. They have been hammering away for a while now, and finally, via the boot of Marcus Smith, Quins finally respond to those 2 early Chiefs tries scored by Ollie Devoto and Nick White. We look forward to the views of Don Armand at half-time with the score at the break at Sandy Park. Exeter 12, Harlequins 3. Well, if things stay as they are, Chiefs hold on to this lead. They'll be up to 81 Premiership points, maybe 82 if they score another couple of tries. 13-14 clear of Saracens, which means that Sarries will have to win at Wasps in that later kick-off with us to prevent Exeter being absolutely sure by close of play today of finishing top of the pile, of finishing top of the table once again. Quins still a point behind Saints with 2 games of the regular season to go.
That must be some sort of record in terms of points gained, isn't it? Exeter must be approaching that, surely.
Yeah, they're 81 now. There's potential of breaking the 90 mark with
that's just
2 final games.
Did you hear the TMO, Waters?
No.
A little delay because Philip Waters, touch judge, assistant referee on this near side, can't hear Jeff Warren, TMO in our truck.
Jeff, mate, you there?
Meantime,
yeah, I'm here, mate.
while we get the wire sorted out, there's Jeff.
There?
Sam
Yes,
Hill
here.
is on. He's on for Ollie Devoto, one of Chiefs' try scorers in that first half. Sam Hill on for his 100th Premiership game. Marcus Smith and Quins with this breeze in the second half. What can they make of it? 9 points adrift.
Had no effect.
Give themselves a toehold with that late penalty before half-time. Lonsdale brings it up, and that tackle was just a little bit high from Simmons.
Yeah, it's a tough one, that, but probably fair. Ran quite upright. Both players did actually, tackler and tackle player, but referee just judges that one too high. And look at that, it's not a bad kick at all. As we see the tackle, yeah, just rides up a little bit, doesn't it? No force there, so just a penalty.
Yeah, cheers, Adam. This is a maul and it's over. The line out. That's one sideways.
I wonder if Exeter done enough to retain it here. Don't think they have. That's really good work from Harlequins.
Yeah, not about the high tackle as well. Yeah, sorry. Time the kick-off.
Jack Clifford there, helping himself.
By the way, that Ollie Devoto didn't rejoin us after half-time because he's suffering from a bit of a dead leg. That's why Sam Hill is with us. 5.5 years after his Premiership debut, off the bench at Franklin's Gardens. Century of Premiership games, a totally reliable bolt in midfield ever since. One of those who's been absolutely central brick to Chiefs' rise over the last few years.
Oh, he's quality. He'll certainly give you that go forward, both sides of the ball. Very aggressive ball carrier. Solid in defence.
Oh, it's another scrum win for Harlequins. They're starting to add up now, aren't they? Joe Marler's giving Harry Williams a work over. Carl Sinclair getting the better of Alex Hepburn on that occasion. And Quins, well, I thought could drive it into touch, but they haven't found touch.
No. Kvesic takes on Dombran. Here is Hill.
Your knees on the floor.
Dolman. No Cordero today. Rob Baxter before the match just giving the impression that they're not 100% sure they'll see Cordero again. Leaves at the end of the season. He's off to Bordeaux. They'll do what they can. He will do what he can. The Puma to get back for the playoffs, maybe for a final. But the injury to his left knee sounds as if it might not be sorted out in a couple of weeks.
Didn't sound terribly convincing, Rob Baxter, did he? Saying his knee's in a brace, but he's working hard. So we hope to see him back.
Let them run.
Absolutely brilliant Cordero, but in Dolman they have an excellent replacement.
Yeah, stay. Good.
Ollie Woodburn fired it long, and Marcus Smith will run it and then kick it back for Quins.
Yeah, just looking up, trying to find the space, but he's found Dolman. He's going to return it with some interest.
It's on his shoulder for me.
To the floor by Buchanan.
No contact above.
On his shoulder, according to Craig Maxwell-Keys, and Jeff Warren confirms it. Nick White, the Australian. May well have scored the try of the season. Not one of those end-to-end 10-second spectaculars, but 27 phases of rugby perfection.
Use it, please.
Well, it's everything that Exeter are about that try. It just encapsulates them in one passage of play, isn't it? One big, long passage of play. It's a really nice touch finder. See, they know how to play these conditions much better than Quins.
That's a very good kick, isn't it? Put that element of doubt into Charlie Walker's mind. It's right over his shoulder into that space. It's a nightmare as a wing. You don't want to catch that and then take it into touch. Walker does the right thing, but you've got to say, Nick White, in terms of relieving pressure, a perfectly weighted and directed kick.
Stu Townsend, by the way, still making his way back from a long-term injury. Nick White has shouldered a lot of the responsibility this season.
Just think he offers Exeter a real point of difference. You know, when he's on his game, they are an infinitely better side. He's got that wonderful organisation about him. Quick service and kicks like that.
Mentioning the opportunity that the Chiefs have of absolutely nailing down top spot by close of play today. That depends on what Sarahs get up to the next few hours in the 4:30 kickoff at the Rico. We will be there for that. Jimmy Gopperth involved for the first time this season. How many days is it, Lowell? You were saying on
I think it was 435 or something like that. I mean, it's an extraordinary amount of time. I think, well, it was pre-season, wasn't it? A week before the start of the season.
Against Connacht. Lots and lots of time away for Gopperth, but he's back involved, as is Toulouse Veanu for Leicester against Bristol, and then the highlights tonight, wrapping up all of those games. Leicester-Bristol, 3 o'clock kickoff, Wasps-Sarries, 4:30. Just kicked off at Welford Road. We'll be keeping it up to speed with that match as it progresses. Bristol, who haven't won at Welford Road for 17 years, is today the day.
No, you'll be off your feet.
Confirmed their Premiership spot again next season last night with the Falcons' defeat against Northampton.
Quinn still in their 22.
Don't kick it. You're inside. Lads, let him go. You need to move your arm now. Thank you. Inside. Let him go.
Walloped away by Marcus Hidalgo-Klein. Scott on loan from Scarlets back end of the season. Cover for injuries to players like Danny Kerr. No Dave Lewis at the moment either, former Chiefs player.
Sure whether Klein was actually trying to make touch there, because it was sort of neither one thing or the other, was it really? Didn't go high enough and didn't make touch. Just handed the ball back to Exeter.
And his opposite number, White, Kvesic.
Tend to find you don't get it back for a while.
Touch now, tackle, thank you.
Charged through the middle by Harry Williams. Kvesic again. Simmons and Jack Yendall, captain today. There's Dolman. Somersaulting his way through. White. And then Hill, replacement at half-time, and he's gone for a giant-sized hole. Mike Brown trying to shepherd him towards the touchline. He cuts back in field. What about the speed of this ball? It is nippy, as is White, and they're that close. And Lonsdale goes in, and Craig Maxwell-Keys down on his haunches, trying to get the best view.
Let me review this.
It looks like it was a try. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't. It's going to take some stopping from a couple of yards out. Wonderful little break, wasn't it, from Hill? Went through a huge hole, and then Nick White had the presence of mind to exploit that by going back down that short side where they had less numbers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any reason a try can't be awarded, please?
Any reason try can't be awarded? Stand by, please.
That's the question for Jeff Warren. So White with the burst. Hill was in close proximity. He clears Dombrandt out of the way, and then Harry Williams comes in.
Not to any effect.
It's just a question of whether he grounded it, Nick. Did he get it down there? Difficult from that angle to see.
This should tell us.
Yeah.
It's Jack Clifford against Williams. We don't have to see the ball grounded because of the question.
Yeah.
It doesn't try yes or no. I'm not sure we have a view definitively of the ball beyond the try line, however.
Craig,
Yeah, go on, Jeff.
you may award the try.
Cheers, thank you.
There you
Time
go.
on.
Because of the question, we didn't need to see it. And the Chiefs, via the big prop, have their third try.
We Exeter Chiefs starting this first half in the similar veins, second half in the similar veins. They started the first, and it's the replacement, Sam Hill, who did exactly what Ollie Devoto did at the start of the game. So many options. Pump of the ball and accelerates, gets away from Chris Robshaw. But it's what they do when they get into the 22. They don't lose their composure. They go through the phases and they pick the options. Speed of that ruck is so quick, which allows Nick White to get beyond them. Good clearing of the ruck. And then it just comes down to that patience and that power play from Harry Williams. Everyone understanding and knowing what their job is, as well as executing it perfectly.
He'd be disappointed with that. Chris Robshaw just didn't chase his legs in the tackle, did he? As that kick doesn't get anywhere close. Sam Hill just finds that outside break.
One prop scoring an unconverted try. The prop on the other side, Alec Hepburn, has been replaced in the meantime by Ben Moon.
Happy?
Pretty handy replacement, isn't it, this time?
On you, Martin.
Worked his way into that England setup. No Joe Marler, of course.
Ball's been lost, falling as it did in front of Simmons. It's been kicked on and chased by Elia. And have Quins responded in double quick time?
I think they have, you know. I think he's got that down. He seems to be very happy with it.
Yeah,
playing advantage from the knock-on. Just have
Jeff, try
another
yes
look
or
at
no,
this.
please.
Try yes or no.
I don't
Stand
think
by,
he actually
please.
grounds it. It's whether
Well, he's
he knocks the ball backwards. I don't think Elia has actually grounded it. But if he hasn't grounded it and he's knocked it down or backwards,
The screen's got a bit of a lag.
could be Kunatani who comes through.
yeah.
I don't think this is going to be awarded.
Well, there's the knock-on, so they were playing advantage from that. Kick through,
Knock-on advantage is there.
By
no problem
Elia.
with that.
Kicked through by Quins, everyone's on side.
Just a question of whether it's
Shoulder
knocked
to shoulder, it's
backwards.
a fair contest.
Oh, Phil Dolman may have done a
I
really
wonder
good
what-
sweep-up
yeah.
job here.
Yeah, this will tell us. Is it Nick White that knocks it back? Or
I
is
think
it Elia?
Elia knocks it back. It's a really good contest.
So they're allowed to run shoulder to shoulder.
Off White's right wrist. The ball's loose, but does Dolman get there? Fell. It's another one of those consecutive groundings, isn't
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing here as well, mate.
I think he knocks
Craig
it
is
on.
Jeff.
Yeah, go on, Jeff.
Knock on green, scrum Exeter.
There you go.
Yeah, I think he did knock it on.
Yeah, so we're going to go
So
back,
they'll
going
go
back
back
for the
for the
initial
scrum,
knock-on.
Quins.
Yeah,
Shame.
no try.
Quins could have done with that. So they'll go back for the original knock-on from the kick-off, so
The first
they will
knock-on
get a
is
scrum.
Quins scrum.
Got to say, it's the first sloppy bit of play from Exeter, isn't it?
Yep.
Really, they've
So it's
just
staying
lost their
contest
concentration.
not going round, yeah? Fair ball, first offence.
That's the sort of detail that Rob Baxter and his coaches will just want to iron out.
Quinn scrum that now includes Elia and Semi Kunatama, two blokes who were central to that. Kunatama's come on for Alex Dombrand. Elia obviously for Rob Buchanan. Jack Clifford continuing to pack down at 8, although he's got 6 on his shirt.
Oh, they've marmalised that scrum, absolutely demolished them.
Time off.
That's really, really good work.
We're going to have a lecture here from Maxwell Keys.
Joe Marler just having a little bit of afters there.
We may have a new loose head, but there's now just so many penalties against your front row.
Yeah.
All three of you on a warning.
Look at that.
Have a word, please.
Look at that. I'll tell you what, Neil Hatley's sat behind us. I know Joe Marler has Didn't quite give you the answer you were looking for, Hugo, but he's building a very, very strong case today. He's really having a good game, isn't he?
Squirty Joe going to the World Cup, Leeds. What do you reckon? He's doing a Sinatra on us, isn't he?
I don't know what the record
With
is for
Neil Hatley watching. He cannot fail to have been impressed by Joe Marler today.
Oh, absolutely. He's playing some brilliant rugby, 6 scrum penalties, and it's been the best part of Harlequins' game at the minute. The fact he's not playing international rugby is not because of his performances, his own personal decision. Whether he sees this retirement as a sabbatical and wants to have one last hurrah in Japan, only he can make that decision, but he's certainly playing well enough to get on a plane at the moment.
Reset, Craig, reset.
But you've got to consider Ben Moon's quality player, played so well for England this season. Ellis Genge doing a decent job as well. But for me, it's an unfinished conversation, it really is.
Let's get the setup right so we're not.
What do you think, Bob? How would you feel about a player who'd retired from Test match rugby coming back just to play in a World Cup?
We'll be balanced and we'll have space.
I want your best players out there playing for England. So, you know, he had to take a time out himself during the season because no one else was going to give him that rest, and he wanted to spend some time with his family. There's no reason why he can't reverse that decision, but it's entirely up to him.
Certainly an interesting speculation point. Meantime, attacking Quinn's scrum.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he keeps putting in performances like today.
Hidalgo Klein. Loose pass to no one in particular from Saili, and Quinns are back on the 22.
Well, there's the frustration as a forward pack, and I've been that guy to make those mistakes, but when you're getting a solid platform like that, you've got to expect more from your backs. They've been marched back 20 metres, Exeter in control of the speed of that ruck, and Harlequins are trying and make this ball hot once again.
Brown doing what he can, freeing it up for Ibitoy.
It was a nice break from Mike Brown, but he's knocked it on.
No, call!
Nothing there, play on.
Yeah, we're still under a knock-on advantage as well.
Wonder whether there's knock-on advantage at the moment. Exeter haven't really made any significant gain.
No.
They'd much prefer the ball to be an open play at the moment than having a set piece, that's for sure.
Yes, please,
but just compare and contrast the control once again when they're in possession of the ball, taking their time, and that's not the best of kicks.
No. There's Brown. He beats the attempted challenge of Tom O'Flaherty. Goes up to halfway. Walker went beyond South looking for Clifford, but
We're on the halfway line, there's no line break and there's numbers outside in terms of a match-up, so penalty only.
penalty for the deliberate knock-on.
This is a little bit of the frustration I think Rob Baxter will be feeling.
No line break,
their ability to get the ball back. It's a poor kick, a slap down on the halfway line, and for as much as they are in control and they're 2 tries up, 17 points to 3, they are just inviting Harlequins back into this game. And yes, they've been sloppy, yes, they've made mistakes, but at some point, something might just click, and all of a sudden, a position where they look very comfortable, a bit of tension back into the game where Harlequins potentially get their tails up.
Yeah, I think Rob Baxter just recognised that, he's made the changes. Gareth Steenson coming on, bringing that calmness, that experience. Look at him already barking the orders. They just need to put this one away. It's not quite there yet, and one try from Quinn's puts him right back in it.
Taione, Francis and Steenson all on. Caught by Robshaw, not for long. Kunatani and Hidalgo Klein and Saili bruising the defence, but he's lost it.
That's that.
And that's gone loose.
Oh. The Quinns have got a real opportunity if they can recycle this.
They can't. I mean, their last 2 possessions, within 2 phases, they've turned the ball over. Exeter Chiefs need to make sure they get through these phases now. And Nick White needs to take on some responsibility with Gareth Steenson, who's sat in the pocket, and make sure he just kills this game right now. Get the ball off the pitch, reset the clock, and take the sting out of this Harlequins attack.
Again, slapped away by White into the arms of Ibitoy, who's come on for Chisholm. What can he do to start to provide some points for all this Quinn's possession and territory?
No! feet, you're off feet!
Hidalgo, Klein, Smith, South. Runs into Dave Ewers, who gets back to his feet a little bit gingerly, but he's in the defensive line again now. Smith, Brown not far away behind him to Saili, former Munsterman, and he's cutting through the defence up to the 22.
Just needed someone on his shoulder there, didn't he?
Hoisted over the top to Kunatani, and Ibitoy to the left-hand side. Kunatani, the Sevens gold medalist, goes on his own within a couple of rolls of the try line. And now Elia drives over the line.
He's got to be held up if he is.
The first issue is a knock-on in the tackle before you've regathered it. It's an Exeter ball.
Oh, what an outcome for Exeter. They'll be thrilled with that. Referee spotted a knock-on just when it looked like Quins were helping themselves to a try.
I'll tell you what, if I was Exeter Chiefs, I'll be getting everyone in and just saying, guys, we're making far too many mistakes. And the signs are there. This is a lovely ball from Mike Brown out wide, and Kunatani in loads of space, shows and goes. And once again, Harlequins, just when it matters, knocks the ball on.
It's Dennis who came in to force the error.
I'm really enjoying these pitches at the minute. They've been far too loose. The last couple of exits, keeping the ball in play. Ibitoy back on the counter-attack. And it's a case of just trying to take the tempo out of the game, understand exactly what we want to do, starting with that scrum, get that set piece right, and get the ball off the pitch. Because Harlequins quite like this broken field play. They've got some dangerous runners in that backfield. If you offer them time and space and opportunity, they might just sting you.
Baxter, Ali Heifer, those two tries within the opening 10 minutes, but since then, in the breeze, it has not been plain sailing.
Crouch.
Well, this is an area, this is a tricky scrum, and they've given away 6 penalties at scrum time. Quins will fancy this, they'll attack again. Gareth Steenson just trying to rally the troops.
Lawrence, at number 8 here, knowing that your scrum's under pressure, how much responsibility have you got to take on just sticking your hand into that second row, picking that ball up and just setting up a decent platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I'd be saying I want to hook straight down the number 1 channel, just try and get it in and away, nice and quick. Look at that pressure coming through. That should be a penalty. Oh, he's been very kind. Oof.
Well, there's a little sideshow going on just off stage there between White and Hidalgo Klein, who are having a slapping contest.
Right, lads. I don't need to be dealing with you two and reffing a scrum. You need to stay behind the ball. If you block him, then there's another issue. Say Mark.
Well, it's a massive scrum.
I thought it was a penalty to Harlequins, to be honest with you. And Exeter very lucky to get away with that.
Well, I think the point that he's making there, that the sideshow of the number 9s actually took his focus off the scrum, because the next penalty Exeter give away at the scrum and someone's going to the bin, so they need to make sure that they're really white, really efficient, and get this ball off the park.
Crouch.
Quinn's original front row against the Chiefs' new one, Tyone and Moon and Francis for Exeter. Full-on defensive mode at the moment.
That's Black down.
It's taken away by Matt Kvesic. And here's Ewers. I'm going to grab a word with Nick Evans in a moment and find out how Quins can start to get that scoreboard rolling.
Chief's got to get this ball off the pitch. And he hasn't again.
Mike Brown once again having to tame the bouncing ball. Instead it's Ibitoy. Held on to by O'Flaherty. Now the Quins fullback. Every time today he's broken the gain line. Sinclair, sleight of hand, there was a knock on there.
So that kick actually worked for Nick White there. Not sure it was exactly what he planned, but...
Okay. Don't dive in, lads.
So it's knock-on advantage, but Quins look like they're going to put this up in the air.
Well, it's got to be a very good kick because they've just put 8 men into that ruck.
Hidalgo Klein off his left foot. It's a bouncing ball, it's a dangerous one. Dolman looking to take control of it. No one has yet. Harlequins have it with South. Away to Kunatani, ball in one hand, that's 7 skill. Oh, he very nearly got away. It was Slade with the ankle tap. And now Saili and Brown once more looking for holes.
Backwards.
This is Walker.
6, your feet!
Semi Kunatani is looking a real threat every time he gets the ball at the moment.
Yeah, it's wonderful bit of footwork they used there to beat the defender. Superb stuff.
And then Elia laid it back a little bit loosely, and it was picked up by Hill.
There's only so many times you can take an invitation into Summers 22. Harlequins are making nothing of it.
Now you're good.
Just relying on counter-attack ball, but not really taking any opportunity. Exeter have really got to tighten up their game. Not tighten up what they're doing in their decision-making, but far too many mistakes.
Simmons. Chiefs preparing to bring on Ollie Atkins, second row replacement. Brown looking for that defensive chase. Dolman will face that wall of green and try and find some way through it, but Kunatani again adding the energy in defence.
Cleared out. Space good.
Kvesic. Steenson flicks it over the top to Slade, and now some acceleration from Chiefs.
It's all right.
Hill and Lonsdale, one-handed to
Advantage, knock on,
Kvesic.
tackled by Black.
And Quinn's with the advantage, and
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo Klein, and Walker takes the hit and he loses it, and we will come back, which
First one
gives
is by Black.
us the opportunity to have a chat with Nick Evans.
yeah,
Nick,
timeout. We've got
8
multiple players
visits to Chiefs 22, no tries yet. What's going on?
Yeah, look, it's that last 1 or 2 metres for us, isn't it? It was the same in the first half. Last 20 minutes dominated that position, couldn't get over the line, and it's similar to the first half, you know, controlling a little bit of territory there and position, but just not being able to do it. And look, you know, it's probably our own doing. You know, look at ourselves first and our ruck urgency. They've been managed to kill the ball a lot, slow our ball down. You know, you guys are the judges whether it's legal or not legal, but they've done very, very well at that.
What do you think?
Well, look, you know, I'm an attacking fly half. You know, for me, every ruck should be 2 seconds, and if it's not, they're either doing something very, very well, a la Richie McCaw, or they're doing something illegal. So, look, they've done very, very well at it. We've got a tendency in the scrum. We haven't managed to get points from that as much, but look, we're still in this. We're creating opportunities. You guys have seen it. We've created a lot. It's that last 1 or 2 metres for us, and that's just that composure on the ball.
Physically, Nick, wherever Exeter are, do you need to boss the breakdown a little bit more, though, to make sure that you're still winning that ball back?
Yeah, we are. It's 100% what we have to do. It's you know, they're a big side. You see it when they've got the ball. They're very efficient at controlling their own ruck, and at the moment they're controlling our ruck when we've got the ball. So we just need to be urgent. We need to work harder on the floor to increase the ruck speed. We need better ball placement, and that just comes down to what I said: working hard on the ball, urgency to ruck, and being violent.
Any other major tactical things you're thinking about, or is this still doable in Paul Gustard's
language? No, of course it is, mate. What have we got? 20 minutes, anything can happen. We've been in games, obviously last week in Europe. We've been in Bath, where it comes down to the last minute. So, you know, we've put some fresh legs on. You've already seen what they can do. We just need that little bit of composure when it comes down to that last 1 or 2 metres towards the line.
Good man. Thanks, Nick.
Brilliant. Thanks, boys.
Well, it's really interesting listening to some of the things he's saying about the breakdown. They've got to be more violent, and I have to agree with him. You know, Exeter, big boys, you've got to present a better picture at the breakdown to the referee, cleaning them off the ball.
I'll tell you what, you can tell he's made that transition from player to coach when you've got a former fly half talking about violent rucking.
Well, scrum is just violently destroying Exeter at the moment. Look at that, you called it, Ugo. Yeah, I mean, that's cumulative. He's not really done a huge amount wrong there, Ben Moon, but that's the 7th penalty at scrum time, and he's paid the price for the one-sided nature of the contest in that area.
Too many penalties.
So now Quins, with all of this ball and all of this possession, and a man up in the pack as well.
If they're going to win this game, they've got to score now. You feel that, because whatever happens from this play, it'll give one side a massive lift. It'll either be Quins going over the line, or Exeter will just draw strength from it and close this game out, you feel.
Elia. Ollie Atkins is on. Part of this defensive ball now for Chiefs.
Carry on.
5 is always bound in.
Yeah,
So Johnny Hill's fine at the moment.
Yeah, Quins have got that ball at the back though. So they're still in control of it.
Straight in at the side.
They have. Don Brown
9.
Manage.
has it.
Now they've got the penalty as well.
Hands off! We're playing penalty advantage, 9. Marks on you. What's
Saley, interesting. Where's the bounce of the ball? Slade was there to make sure that it bounced Chiefs' way, and now he's quickly looking for the options, but back will come.
Well, they've got one man in the bin, and just asking the question of the referee where that was going. I'm sure Chris Robshaw was going to speak to him.
Okay, time off, please.
Scrum or touch?
It's a scrum. It's a scrum, Patsy, so we... unless there's a lucid... Have you got a lucid on the pitch?
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Okay, right, so time off or I make the change.
Quite rightly, Quins have gone for the scrum.
Six
Good
being
call.
dropped. 6.
So Alex Hepburn is going to come back on. Dave Ewers is being replaced. Incidentally, update from Welford Road in that 3 o'clock kickoff. It's Leicester 6, Bristol 6. Ford and Sheedy sharing the penalties between them. Toulouse Avellanos, first game since October.
I think.
So Exeter have taken off Phil Dolman,
Yes.
knowing that they need all the numbers.
I was about to say
all
you
the
can't
physicality.
take off Dave Ewers. That would be.
Well, I tell you what, Marcus Smith needs to make an important decision here. They've gone for 8 versus 8 in the scrum, so either you're looking for a pushover scrum, or now knowing that their back line is down by one man, trying to identify the space and play into the space.
Well,
for me, the space is on that far side touchline rather than using the energy and the physicality through the scrum now.
Quins with a toe hold. Once again, the challenge is to get over the threshold. And it's Saili running with real spit and vim and vigour, but he's held up on the tackle line. Here's South. He's off to pastures new next season, but Quins digging for precious playoff points here.
He just got himself turned the wrong way there, so couldn't quite present that quick ball.
Again, Kunatani in the thick of things. Elia just stepping backwards. It might be him. No, he's part once more of the clear-out crew. Again, Kunatani's there. Marler's there, and Simmons. It's Kunatani underneath the posts. Hidalgo Klein invites Clifford and the big boys to go in.
It's a very good tackle back into that ruck.
Marler will have another chop. Oh, he very nearly got there.
Well, the post comes into play now. Hidalgo Klein's only got to pick it up.
And he's done it!
Try.
That's exactly what Sam Hidalgo Klein did, and he's scoring tries now for Quins, and that potentially is a biggie.
Yeah, Matt Kubesic did his very, very best. I think he probably would have gone with the penalty illegally there, but Sam Hidalgo Klein has badgered his way through there. Look at this. Exactly what you need to do. Kubesic's doing his very best. Referee's telling him to leave it, but he's put himself in a bad position and actually opened up the post.
It's the one place on the pitch you just can't defend. And Joe Marler's pick and go with Elia latching on, just directed it towards that post. And Hidalgo Klein, just like Nick White did in the first half, just targeted that space in around the ruck. And I'll tell you what, Exeter, where they've looked comfortable and where Harlequins have looked slop in that last 5 metres where it's really mattered, is game on again with 16 minutes to go.
It is. Marcus Smith with the conversion. Ben Moon can only watch and wonder, and the lead has been trimmed to 7.
Yeah, and full credit to the forwards. It's the front row that's brought them into this game. They've worked tirelessly for 65 minutes, and 7 scrum penalties and a yellow card later, they're right back in this contest.
Joe Marler is finally taking his leave. I'm not sure he wants to come off, but he's been replaced by Nick Alterac. That has been 65 minutes from Joe Marler, full of intent, and well, if he wanted to send a message, he has. Meantime, Clifford. Quins with 15 minutes and the win, and at the moment an extra man to get even closer to the Chiefs. A reminder that they were 12 points down after just 10 minutes. They have dug their way back into this contest.
Certainly have, and I'll tell you what, it's had an effect on the crowd. I mean, Sandy Park's one of the most atmospheric stadiums, I think, in the Gallagher Premiership. They love their rugby here, the tomahawk chop, but they've been pretty quiet in a point where they've looked very comfortable. Perhaps they're just like the team to a certain degree, just waiting for the semi-finals, knowing that's where the business really picks up once again. There's still a huge amount of work to be done now.
It's given Quins a lift, that try as well. Look at that clearance kick from the scrum half.
Tayoni taking out Johnny Hill.
Yeah, this is smart play from Exeter. It's the right call. Just get that crowd back in the game. Get the driving ball going.
Steenson, Woodburn. I sense that Exeter have spent an awful lot of this second half in their own half, trying to do something about it here. Here's Elvis Tayoni, 35-year-old Tongan. And Steenson helps it on. He was being pressurised by Saili. Yes, Saili has put himself around today.
Oh, that's a penalty. Look at that. Body language.
It's just sloppy. I mean, it's really good defensive pressure from Saili, but I'm seeing from Exeter today just things that I don't associate with them. In attack, just sloppy, loads of mistakes. It was a mental battle against Wasps a couple of weeks ago, and it really showed in their physicality. Physically, they've been fine. They've been smashing rucks. They're making decisions and putting themselves under pressure, just shoveling on ball which shouldn't be passed on, and once again just inviting Harlequins back into this game, and you can see it. 80% of this game's been played in their half, and that's something which you would never normally see here at Sandy Park. But an opportunity is absolutely nothing unless you take it, and this is a huge one for Harlequins now.
Clifford at the front. Kunatani is there. And again, Chris Robshaw and his men, Lol, really beginning to fancy this.
Just got to make sure they keep control of this. There we are, ball.
Start looking, please.
Hidalgo Klein, little chip through, and Alofa's chasing after this. If you can gather, he may well be in. He's that close again. Laid up Hidalgo Klein, and now Marcus Smith, and they'll score with Walker.
Try.
And from a dozen points down, Quins are within 2 of squaring up this contest.
Yeah, once again, we're just talking about it. Sloppy from Exeter. But the things that Harlequins weren't doing in the first half and taking their opportunities, they found their mojo once again. Not going anywhere really, but how about that from a touch? Something we often see from Danny Kerr. But Sam Hidalgo Klein, just the last 5 minutes, having a huge impact. Marcus Smith straight into the space, and Charlie Walker, I mean, that's as good as an open goal. And out of nowhere, they're right back into this game. In fact, they're more than that. Marcus Smith with an opportunity, potentially tie the score here at Sandy Park. Lovely ball.
No Nathan Earl, no Caden Murley, both gone now for the season, but Charlie Walker, first time in the Premiership since September. It's only his 3rd league game of the season, but that is a really significant try. If they are to draw level, it'll be the toughest of kicks for Smith. Particularly into that breeze. However, look how close they are now.
Well, they've really made that yellow card count, haven't they? 2 tries, 1 converted, and that pressure's been building. And you have to say, Exeter, 12 penalties they've conceded. They've been inviting that pressure on, 10 of them in their own half, and those little mistakes have just added up. Discipline's been a problem. 6 of those penalties at scrum time. And they've got a little problem to solve in the last 10 minutes of this game.
A little over a minute left on Ben Moon's yellow card.
It's been a costly period, hasn't it? 12 points in that 9 minutes.
Clifford once more. Again, Clifford in another contest where he's impressed. Once again, the long ruck. Scott Hidalgo Klein, who rather lost his way back end of his days up in Scotland, moved to Wales, moved to the Scarlets to try and rediscover himself, has come to Quins on loan, and he's playing an integral part today in guiding them towards points perhaps at Sandy Park.
He certainly has. He's controlled the ball. I thought He's exited well, especially in the second half. The catalyst with his try, and then the little assist to Alofa with the little kick. It's making a massive difference at the moment.
Just you can obviously, if he's past it, you can block it. Just make sure you don't kick
It's
out.
worth pointing out as Johnny Hill takes some treatment that Quins, at the most important time of the season, having to go about their business with such key characters: Joe Marchant, Nathan Earl, Danny Kerr, James Horwill. And they're relying on individuals, on characters that they might not necessarily been expecting to rely on, but led by folk like Rob Shaw. And James Lang is on his way as well. He'll be taking the place of Alofa.
How many?
Good tactical substitution. Offers another boot, especially with the wind behind them. They'll be looking for territory, something they've dominated this half.
Well, set for a final 10 minutes here in Devon. That's going to be well worth watching. Line-out snaffle by Atkins. And they've drawn the penalty as well. A bit of interference in the airlock.
That's instruction. The first issue is a man in the air sacked early. You can't pre-sack him in the air. It's got to be on the ground.
Well, it's been explained very clearly to everyone, but let's just have another look at this. Saying he was taken out in the air, can't pre-sack. Oh, it's tough, isn't it? I think that's pretty tight.
It's Matt Simmons who was underneath, trying to get the timing absolutely right, but not quite right enough for Craig Maxwell-Keys.
Oh, I'll tell you what, look, I think he's been really hard done by there. I think he lands and then pulls him back. It's just his momentum that carries him over, and I think they can feel very hard done by there. This angle might give us a better picture. Yeah, I don't think he's pre-sacked at all. I think it's right on the money.
If it's turned over,
Either way, it's just offered up just an element of release of pressure to Exeter. They can go back to something which works so well for them. Another line out on Harlequins 22.
Time's off, you're making a change.
In the middle of all that, you will have seen Ben Moon rejoin us, Phil Dolman as well, who'd been sacrificed, and Quins
7-man, we're going to wait for your sub to get
making their final change in the front row. That's Phil Swainston coming on for Carl Sinclair, who's been on there for 71 minutes. Line out taken by Hill.
Now Quins, having worked themselves into this game, don't want to give anything too soft away.
It's broken away at the front.
Tyone thumping his way through. The ball's swept up by Dave Ewers. Chiefs have been pushed back out of the 22. White to Tyone. Still going. Strong Tongan. Sam Hill. Replacement at half-time for Ollie Devoto, who suffered a dead leg.
Thank you.
Steenson, who's back with us now after his injury issues. This is O'Flaherty. Flaherty yet to score a Premiership try. Yeah, then he'll have to wait a little bit longer because, as you were going to say, Lol, Quins over that.
Beautiful turnover. Piece of work that. Really good work from Quins. They turned the tackler. Sorry, the tackler turned the Exeter player there. Textbook stuff.
Jeff, nothing clear live, but hold on. Any issue will be at the clear out of that breakdown. Time's off. Just waiting for him.
Update from Welford Road. Jordan Oliver-Feller with Leicester's try, and Sheedy's got all 11 points for the Bears so far. They kicked off at 3.
This is the turnover. Really nice stuff. Nick Alterak initially, and then Jack Clifford does brilliantly just to turn him over. It's a 1-2 from the back row. And Chris Robshaw straight in over the top. Woodburn can't clear him out, and England's former England skipper turning up the goods for his side there.
Nothing obvious, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, line's good.
Quins sniffing an unexpected victory here at Sandy Park.
Kunatani coming in from distance to add his weight to this latest Quins drive.
Still moving. It's nice. That's the penalty.
Well, they've got a penalty. A penalty to take the lead. It'll be a tough kick in this breeze, but on they go.
Thank you.
South, Smith,
Hold the mark, Waters.
Ibatoy.
They want the penalty, don't they?
No. Still under penalty, that.
Smith. Saili again tucks the ball under his arm, and maybe they want more than the penalty. Lang popping up in the middle of all that. Ibatoy offered himself. Instead, it goes to Robshaw, who takes on Kovacic. Elia waits, but they come back the other way with Ibatoy. That we come for the penalty.
Yeah, I was wondering when the referee was going to go back. I think Marcus Smith has got the opportunity to take the lead here. Do you think he'll have a shot at goal, Hugo, or is that wind too tricky for him?
He just picked up a bit of grass just to test the wind. He wants to make absolutely sure when he's electing to go for post.
You've got to have a go, haven't you? I mean, it's, you know, just takes you, it's an opportunity to take the lead.
Well, he'd back himself 83% across the season. He's kicking really well. Tough conditions here, mind.
And he doesn't get much help from the flags, because at one end it's blowing that way and at the other it's blowing the other. So yeah. Slap on the back for Marcus Smith from Charlie Walker.
This is a tough kick.
You can just see, by the way, the posts are rolling around in the far distance. This is huge. 5 minutes to go, and for Quins for the lead at Sandy Park. What about it? What about it? Not quite. The Exeter breeze did its job. It's a home breeze, and it dragged it away.
Still a good decision. Just the worst case out of it is that they get the ball back of this 22. A bit of broken field. You can see the crowd are nervous here, willing to get behind their Exeter Chiefs team.
Steenson in no rush.
Walker for Quins. Down again in close proximity.
You know what you
Walker steps over halfway. Elia. Smith and Robshaw. Sidesteps into the tackle. Smith again, and now South.
It's a good tackle for O'Flaherty.
Kev, your thing.
He's come out second best, as you'd expect, but he managed to stop South on the 10-metre line. Looks like he's taken a stinger. Quins go the other way. Smith, and again Brown, hopping his way through the defensive threats.
You can see how Exeter have changed their mindset at the moment as well. They've got to be so careful, that really wanting to get into the ruck.
Oh, Steenson was up quickly, but beautifully over the top by Lang, and this is Clifford, having been fed by Saili. Kunatani, my goodness, he picked that up beautifully. Low by his laces. Simmons pounding away just outside the 22. Elia. Some help from Ortarak. Robshaw goes in with his shoulder to help release the ball. Smith. Saili once more, and that's gone forward off the hands of Clifford, and it'll be a Chiefs scrum and much relief in these parts.
Shame. I wonder whether the referee might have just penalised them for a bit of blocking had it not gone forward. Anyway, Marcus Smith knows he's missed an opportunity there. They look like they're finishing this game strongly, though, Quins, don't they? They can sense something might be happening here. Correct decision.
Is he okay?
It's a big old scrum, though, isn't it, for Exeter? Certainly been an area that they'll want to fix up on and work on. You spoke about it, just a quick strike, get the ball in and out. And with 3 minutes to go, I mean, Exeter Chiefs can hold the ball for 3 minutes, that's for sure.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Are they going to back themselves, or are they going to give Quins one more opportunity? You feel that Quins will have a go at this scrum, won't they? Why wouldn't they, after they've got such a good return?
We haven't had one for some time. Keep the stability. Same stability. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Look at that, coming through.
All the whistles in the mouth of the referee, but this time, Chiefs penalty.
Oh, wouldn't you just believe it?
It's the same as the 2 penalties.
Massive scrum.
Previously, they've gone round on
A massive moment. You've got to say it's probably going to be the game. They've certainly got enough know-how. Get this ball to touch, sap the legs out of Harlequins, take away the time, and that might be the last opportunity they get.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that you can be so dominant in the scrum and then referee gives that one the other way.
It's the first scrum penalty Quins have conceded today, and it's come in the 79th minute.
Well,
right.
I suppose he's rewarded Exeter for staying square. But for me, it's them that wheel it round, not the other way round. I'd have been inclined to reset that. Give the benefit to the dominant scrum.
Atkins rising highest. 90 seconds to go.
Yeah, he had to have a go at that, Nick, didn't he? He had to have a crack at the line out. And as a result, I think just got to be careful they don't get turned over.
Yeah, Simmons is in there. You've got George Merrick in there as well.
Nick White's done a brilliant job just to break away and get that, turn that maul into a ruck. And with a minute to go, Exeter Chiefs have just got to go through the faces, making sure that they keep their body angles high. Frank Maxwell-Keys will be all over it.
Ewers eager for more work, clapping for possession. Takes on Simmons. Now the Exeter efficiency that led to the tries at the start of the match may well now see out victory at the end of it. They've got a little over 30 seconds to hold on to the ball.
17
And it's a penalty.
17 with hands on the floor.
In their eagerness, Nick Autorak offside.
17.
And now Chiefs can wind down the clock in their leisure.
Well, I'll tell you what, Exeter will be mightily relieved because they've been distinctly second best in this second half, that's for sure, and could have easily lost this game.
Man of the match, Lol, your job?
Yeah, well, I mean, for all Quins' scrum dominance, and, you know, Joe Marler's been mighty, it's Nick White. He's been a wonderful organiser. He's just kept Exeter's noses in front, and they see this game out. He's our Gallagher Premiership Man of the Match.
Chiefs, once more, not overly chiefly. They have won, and they may have done enough now to nail down top spot at the end of the regular season, but it could so easily have been Harlequins. Another defeat for them, but a losing bonus point in the quest for the playoffs. It's finished at Sandy Park. Exeter 17, Harlequins 15.
Certainly the result that Exeter Chiefs would have been wanting. They'd have wanted to see a reaction to their home defeat a couple of weeks ago against Watson. They got the job done. But I think Rob Baxter, knowing that the player, knowing that the coach he is, knowing that the standards they set, they may not be happy with their performances, but this stage of the season is all about momentum, and Exeter Chiefs are able to continue with that. For Harlequins, it's been the same old, same old.